Hello and welcome to Rhino. Let's start with the basic interface. This is our menu bar. This is our status bar. The status bar tells us where the mouse movement is. If we go in the top view, as you can see, as the mouse moves, you can see the X and Y moving. However, if I go in the front view, instead of X and Z, currently I can see the movement only in X and Y. The reason is I have opted for construction plane coordinates. If I click on world, I get the world plane coordinates. So I'm getting X and Z values. In right view, I'm getting Y and Z values and so on. In the status bar, next we have the units. Let's, for example, take a simple box of 25.4 mm. So I'm taking a cuboid of 25.4 mm. This cuboid, if I were to save and later on find out that I want to change from metrics to inches or any other unit, I simply have to go into unit settings, change the units. Let's take inches. Okay. Rhino will ask me whether I need to scale the model. I'll have to say yes. If I say no, then that means I'll get 25.4 inches. However, we need to scale it if you want to keep it to size, and it will change to 1 inch only. I'm going for an undo and I'm getting back my millimeters. The next is what is my current layer. We can see different layers of which the current layer is defined here, or the object in which the layer is, that layer will be defined. These are a few modeling aids which we will be coming to a little later. Here we have properties, layers and display tabs. Up here we have 12 standard toolbars. The rest are all plugins that I have added on. These standard toolbars have different icons. For example, I can have curve creation and editing, surface creation and editing, and so on. I personally use only the standard maximum time. That's because this, known as the main toolbar, contains approximately 95% of all the tools. Why do I say 95%? There are certain commands. For example, if I type in the command convert extrusion, this command, if I go into help and check out where can I find this command, you will find that it is not in toolbars or on the menus because it was added latest. That is the reason why I meant 95% and not 100%. Also, you will be wondering how come only this interface contains 95% of the tools. In Rhino, there are many icons which play two different roles depending on left click and right click. As the tooltip suggests here, left click is undo, right click is redo. Similarly, you can have left click as polyline, right click as line segment. It could be explode and extract and so on. Also, wherever you can see these small triangles, you get a flyout. These flyouts in turn can have nested flyouts. And this is how the main toolbar contains almost all the icons that you need. Also, you can have a command given from the menu bar and finally from the command prompt. So thus you can see that we can give a command in 4 different ways. Either it could be through the main toolbar. For example, if I want to make a circle, so either I can click here, or I can go into the curve tools and I can find circle in here, or I can go into the command menu bar and find circle in curve, or I can simply type in circle in the command. This is the command prompt. It also prompts you what you need to do and then tells you what is the next requirement. For example, if I have given the command circle, you will find that now it's asking for center of circle. Let me point it as 0, enter. And now it asks me for a diameter. So let's say I say 20 mm because I'm right now in millimeter units, and I've got a 20 mm circle here. Next, let's look at these four options. Properties. If I haven't chosen any object, then it shows me the viewport properties. Currently, the perspective viewport is active. You get to see that because it is bluish in color. The rest are gray in color. If I go in top view, you'll see that the viewport properties show top and parallel projection. What do I mean by parallel projection? If I happen to take a simple cuboid, let's look at it in perspective view. I can change it to parallel view. I can also change it to 2-point perspective. By default, it is always going to be perspective view, and it is good enough for all the modeling purposes. You might change it to parallel or 2-point perspective when it comes to rendering, but until then, these are good enough. If I select an object, then I get to see all the object properties. These object properties tell you which layer it is on, what is the display color of it, what is the line type, and so on. Layers, if I have chosen a particular template, come by default in these 6 layers. I'll explain about the templates shortly. Let's look at a new layer, a new file. By default, I get these large object centimeter, large object feet, and so on. You'll see small object millimeter, small object, large object millimeter. The difference between them is it's something that you need to understand. As a ballpark figure, what they have written out here, what Rhino has written out here is that if you have any object which you are creating and is larger than the size of a truck, you can use large objects. If it is smaller than a truck, you can use small objects. This is layman terms. But the critical part of it is absolute tolerance. That is what changes between large object and small objects. To understand this, let me take a simple line curve, and I'm giving a offset curve to this of distance 1 mm. What it means is that between these two curves at any given 2 points, perpendicular points, the distance should be 1 mm. In theory, it is 1 mm, but as you know, Rhino is made up of NURBS, non-uniform rational beta splines. Hence, this curve also is made up of a mathematical expression, and that's why between any two given perpendicular points, the distance of 1 mm will be anywhere between 0.999 to 1.001 in case I have used the template of small objects, and in case I have used the template of large objects, it could be anywhere between 0.99 to 1.01. This is the difference between the templates. Right now, I'm going to take small object millimeters where the absolute tolerance is 0.001. These layers come as default. It is a good practice to incorporate templates in your work. It also tells you that it gives you a default of dimension styles and so on to work with. You can also create your own template, rename your layers to whatever you want, save colors, change your styles to your requirement, and save the template itself. It is up to you how you want to save it and where you want to save it. We can now go on to the next chapter, which is understanding what are the colors and layers of objects.